Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Diane Deziel, and today I'm answering a question that I get very often about how to install the attachment or the folder for the bias. Today I'm going to talk and show you my attachment to assemble bias. And as you could see, there's many different size. I have 4 different size, but there's a lot more. With these attachments, you sew the bias as fast as you would do the overlock. Now usually the size is written on one of the metal part of your attachment. This one, for example, is saying 18 millimeter, and this is not the final measurement of your bias. It's the measurement that you have to cut the bias. To be able to see the final measurement of your bias, you must have a stripe of the bias you want to use, cut it in bias at one hand, then bring it into the large opening. You might want to use a pin to pull it through, and when you have the bias coming out at the other hand, you're going to pull it towards the back. Then you're going to see the final width of your bias, and in the same time you could verify to see if you have the right folder, because both sides have to fold in and then the bias folds again on itself. Now the folder that I'm talking about today, compared to the one that is pretty easy to install, just one screw and the main piece, you just put it right next to your foot on the sewing machine. These ones that I want to talk about today are more stable. These are the ones that I recommend because they do a much better job, but they are a little longer to install on the machine. Before to show you how to install them, I want to talk about the 3 pieces. So you have the main piece, that is the big attachment. You're going to have the teeth and a foot. Just in case you want to buy more than one size of folder, you must know that the teeth are the same exact thing for every single size of folder, but the foot have different width according to the folder size. Now let's go on the machine and I show you how to install this folder. First thing to do is to turn off your machine and remove the normal foot that you have on. Then you're going to open the little plate that is on the left of the foot. Then to remove the 4 screws that you have to remove, I highly recommend you to use a very long screwdriver. It will be much easier than with the small one. So we will start by removing the 2 big screws that are on the plate. So we keep them closed because we'll have to put them back with the new plate. Now you could remove the plate. In the same time, you could clean the bottom of your plate because very often there's a lot of dust in between those lines. The 2 next screws to remove are the 2 screws that are holding your teeth. Here, take all your time and be careful not to drop those little screws because they're pretty hard to find. Then put them aside because we're going to need them to put the new teeth. Here again, take the time to clean it so it'll be better for your next sewing project, because sometimes the dust that is right here in between and in the back, it transfers to your garment that you're sewing. And before to put the folder, I'll do a little more cleaning because we don't open the machine so often. With your little brush, just remove all the dust that was accumulated. Now we're going to reinstall the part in the opposite direction that we removed them. So I'm going to start with the teeth. Again, these are delicate, very tiny little screws. So what I usually do is place my teeth, and I'm going to start with the back one. I'm going to put it in position, and with my screwdriver, make 1 or 2 turns only. Then take the second screw, then screw it almost all the way. Then the first one almost all the way also. We keep a little movement on the teeth in case we need it to place the folder. Now we're ready to place the big part over the teeth and we push it all the way down. Then we're going to use the two larger screws and we're going to put them in position, both of them, and then screw all the way down. Now here some might think I'm not going to screw all the way or very tight because I have to remove it anyway. But at the contrary, you must screw it down tight because of the vibration of the machine. It's very important that the plate doesn't move. Now when these ones are done, you're going to screw all the way the little one. Then you're going to close back the little plate on the side. Then you're going to install the foot that goes with the attachment. Then we're ready to try the bias folder. Now that my attachment or folder is on the machine, screw properly. I'm going to show you how to put the bias inside. And just to show you, I'll use a small piece of bias that should first be cut unbiased to have a point. So you're going to take the long side and put it in the first slit of this little serpentine that you have in the back. So the long part is going in the back. Then bring it back to the front and again in the next slit and again towards the front and again. This serpentine is going to help you keep your bias straight. But still you have to make sure that it's not going to turn while you're sewing. So you must check all the time. Then you're going to take the point and put it inside the large opening, just like I showed you before. And with a pin or something pointy, you're going to pull it all the way until it comes out on the other side. Then as soon as it's coming out, you're going to lift the foot and pull it towards the back. And at this point, just make sure that you have both of the fold, the top one and the bottom one. We're ready to do a little test. So I'm going to turn the machine on and show you how it works. To do the test, you could just sew the bias by itself. Just like you saw, you could try the bias by itself or insert a fabric. You place your fabric between the bottom fold and the top fold and the raw edge right next to the center fold. Now when you do your test, you must look at, of course, the fold if it's done properly on both sides, but also at the distance of the seam with the bottom fold here. Because if it's too close to the edge, it might not grab the fold in the back. This distance could be adjusted by pulling or pushing towards the back this handle that you have in the back of the folder, just like that. Now I will redo the installation of the bias and I'm going to put bias on different sections of this little top of a dress. Now you could see the result. I did put my bias at the neck, both back and front, and at the armhole for this little top part of my dress. I did start and finish with the bias only so I could attach it on top of the shoulder. And I also did a little extra piece so I could do a tiny decoration. Now if you decide to buy more than one of these attachments, I suggest when you get them, just get a nail polish and do a dot of the same color on all three pieces that are going together. So one last advice, when you do get your folder, you must try and experiment in easy to work fabric. So very thin and stable fabric for the bias itself. And also maybe cotton for the main fabric. Then when you get used to it and learn how to adjust your seam, then you could experiment with thicker fabric and different fabric. For example, knit like that. This one is from the market, but I do use my folder to do pretty much the same except with just one seam, of course. So you could use your folder even with knit fabric. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I see you next time.